Hello and welcome everyone in a new series which is called Modular Hangout Sessions. This is the first episode and we are hosting it together with my friend and colleague Helmut. Hi, Helmut.
Hi.
Okay, so in this episode we are going to talk about a very interesting model. It's from ERM. It's called Polygonal. I initially brought it here because I like the features and the sound so much, but then you came to me and said that you would like to push it further using vector graphics with it. So please tell us, why is it a good solution, or why is it a good model for this kind of application?
Well, it's a good module even if you use it as a stereo oscillator, but yeah, the outputs are labeled X and Y because it's meant for polygonal synthesis, which is a term developed by ERM, the manufacturer of Polygonal. And what happens is that they use two waveforms to move a point with large speed, with the great speed that makes the point draw lines. And
because it's a two oscillator model?
Well, yeah, they have two oscillators. One is they have an FM carrier and an FM modulator oscillator, and they basically the first oscillator is a stereo oscillator, so it always has an X and a Y part, which are in different phase and different waveforms to result nice shapes. So right now I move this point with two signals, and if I speed them up and make it just orbit, I can speed it up and draw a circle.
Mm-hmm.
And notice the blinking on your screen. This is just the artifact of broadcasting. This screen is actually super smooth and nice. Yeah, and from here on I'm gonna showcase the features of Polygonal just a little bit so you know what we're working with. You can decrease the number of vertices, or yeah, the order, which is the parameter called Polygonal. And as you decrease them, you see that this polygon is losing sides. And I can go down all the way to 4, 3, and I can just draw a line.
It's just a special display or show off of.
Yeah, it's an interesting way of morphing two waveforms with sharper and sharper notches in a special phase relation, and the result is this super nice behavior of adding and subtracting vertices from this polygon.
Yeah.
And if we go and see what happens next, we have the teeth, which is also just manipulation of the two waveforms, X and Y. And what it does, it tilts the sides of the vertices inwards. So let's give it some teeth.
Okay, can we hear it actually? It would be beneficial if we could.
Oh yeah, that's not just a module that does graphics, but it can also you can hear the sounds that actually make up this image. For this, I'm gonna decrease the frequency a little bit. So let's go to in the neighborhood of C3. I'm gonna hook it up to a mixer first. This is the ABC mixer of Bastel Instruments. I chose this mixer because I want to use it as a stereo mixer where I can independently set the volume of left and right sides. So I'm going to hook up left to this multiple, which is going into your ears. Yeah, so you should hear left sound right now, and I add the right sound, which is this.
Okay.
And if I change the frequency, the polygon remains pretty constant for now.
Okay, so it can draw shapes alone, but you can push it further probably. That's the idea.
Yes, I can adjust more parameters on the Polygonal and just make it roll, apply some FM.
Yep.
But what I wanted to do today is build a rack which does not use Polygonal screen as an output.
Yeah.
And why I wanted to do this is because I wanted to insert a bunch of modules after Polygonal. So after Polygonal does this great things with the signals and gives us polygons that we can adjust parameters off, I wanted to put filters and phasers and
you want to
reverbs.
see how it affects the
Yeah.
picture it draws.
Exactly.
Okay, so video is not new to Modular, and we had solutions before, but this is not what is going to happen here.
No, because this is not video.
Yeah, this is not video. We're just going to use regular models for drawing shapes.
Yes, we use modules just like you could if with the LZX industry modules, you can also interface modules with the video synthesis that are made for audio. But here it's pretty much the same. But the biggest difference here is that we don't have any video signals in the synthesizer. We only have audio rate voltages that are changing at a very, very fast rate.
Mm-hmm.
So if we had video, we would have a resolution, and we would have a scanning behavior and like vertical and diagonal, vertical and horizontal resolution. But here we just have basically just one pixel. So if I slow it down again, you see that we just have one pixel that is moving around, and we are working with a moving dot.
Mm-hmm.
We don't work with a matrix of pixels.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna try to put modules between Polygonal and the output. But this means that I need another output device, which is gonna be a TV.
Which you brought in here.
Yeah, that I brought in here.
And I will show this to the guys.
Yeah, so this is our TV. I found this on the basement of the university a long time ago, and just took it because it was in the trash. Yeah, I mean, it was trash. I didn't take it, I just recycled it. So if I hit power and I go to channel 10, because
it was a junk, but now, because of your efforts and idea, this is going to be gold now.
Well, yeah, let's see how much gold we can get out of it. I'm playing this Polygonal output directly into an audio amplifier, and the audio amplifier is hooked up to the deflection coils of the TV. And what this means is that the coils are wrapped around the tube of this TV, and they deflect the electron beam at a very high rate, exactly with the rate that I patched in here. So if I disconnect the y-axis, we only have x, and if I disconnect the x-axis, we only have y. So I put back the y-axis, I like it to have a second, and I put back the x-axis, we're going to have our circle. And you notice that if we see both, we see the Polygonal and the TV, you notice that the circle on the Polygonal is perfect, whereas the circle on the TV is
Not.
far from perfect. This is because the TV is not an oscilloscope, it's not a measuring equipment, it's just a regular TV, and I just can't, no matter how I play with my parameters, which are now only the X volume and the Y volume, I cannot get this circle.
Okay, the point of this, which is very hard to judge by looking at it on YouTube, is that the picture on television is so much sharper, so much lively than on the scanning monitors, that it has to be experienced in person. It's very hard and very difficult to explain it. You have to see it yourself, but just bear with us. It's like that. We are just what happened, as I understand, that you removed the internal amplifiers whatsoever from the television, and you used a regular hi-fi stereo amplifier to push the beams and draw. So this is analog from the beginning to the end.
Yes.
And very fast, no scan lines, no. Although we have raster bars, because the television is, it consists of this mask.
Yeah, you can see the raster bars on the screen, but yeah,
it's not as discrete as a digital display. So it's still very different, very very strange experience in person.
Yeah, I'm gonna slow down the beam so you see what happens slowly. As I slow it down, the coils can have a larger effect on the beam with the lower frequency. So as I slow down the frequency, the beam grows, it goes out of frame, maybe completely. And then if I slow it down to the max, you see that I try to keep it in frame, and you see that the beam is moved by the coils. So this is what the coils do with the beam. They deflect it to different coordinates of the TV. And if I go back up with the speed, we have a circle again. So yeah, this should explain what happens with the beam. And the good news is that we can use modules to interact with the path of this beam, to interact with it a lot, actually. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is insert 2 VCAs, and I'm going to try to draw a spiral, but maybe it's going to turn out very different. Let's see what the VCA does to the signal. So I'm going to hook up VCA 1 and VCA 2. They are already biased, so the signal is passing through with a very similar volume. I'm going to dial it back a notch. Okay, so how about setting the attenuators for the incoming CV pretty much to the same position. And I'm going to use another oscillator outside of Polygonal, which is going to be the Rossum Electro Trident. I'm going to use triangle wave from Rossum Electro's Trident and modulate the volume of both axes at the same time. So let's do this. This happens because the normalizations of Quattro Figaro, it has normalization to the inverter. So right now I'm modulating X and Y always opposite because it's inverted. But this is not what I wanted to do for the spiral. So I'm gonna use the stackable molding and go to the other channel. And we are getting closer to a spiral right now.
And the Polygonal still displays a circle.
Yeah, the Polygonal still displays a circle because the Polygonal is it displays its output, but it's not a scope.
We are watching the modified output of the...
Exactly. This is our polygon oscillator. It gives us the polygon, which is
a sine and a cosine.
Which is the sine and a cosine, drawing a circle like a sine and a 180 phase shifted sine, if I'm not mistaken. And what we do
90.
is we, as the Polygonal draws this circle, we make the circle larger and smaller at a very high rate.
Mm-hmm.
And if I adjust the ABC mixer and get the whole thing in frame, we see that it's pretty shaky. And the reason is that if you go to the trident, I'm going to fine-tune the middle oscillator of trident to a frequency that is that gives
related.
That is related exactly to the frequency of the Polygonal. And
so if the frequencies are multiples of each, then it's going to be a steady figure.
Yes, it's like if it's a slight detune between the frequencies, you always have something like a rolling shape. And I can even attempt I can even take an attempt to stop this, but yeah, I'm gonna have a really slight roll at all times. So if I increase the frequency of this oscillator, it starts rotating right, and if I increase it even more, it's gonna rotate faster. But then it reaches another frequency which is related, and depending on this frequency, you can have different paths of the beam that we saw moving in the beginning. So yeah, this is a VCA, two VCAs modulated together, and the Polygonal. And this is done from the circle of the Polygonal. So to check what I said before, if you go to the Polygonal, we can see that if I adjust the if I adjust the frequency of the Polygonal, it affects the rolling of the image, and this proves that the frequencies are related to each other. So if one of them changes just a bit, the roll changes quite a lot. Yeah, and you can still play with the parameters of Polygonal. I can roll it. I can apply FM and make crazy shapes. And I think it was interesting when I had the internal normalization of the VCA, the Quattro Figaro. I just take this out, and then we have this. If I just take one cable out, this is how it looks when I use the internal inverter and the internal normalizations and the inverter of this VCA. If you want to know more about Quattro Figaro, just look it up on Modular Grid. It's a great VCA, one of my favorites, because it's really feature dense and great quality VCAs inside too. Yeah. So yeah, if you like this shape, we can patch it into other modules. So how about if I just disconnect this from the mixer?
Again, we're not using any sort of video modules, no LZ
No, it's not video.
This is not video. We are using entirely sound and high frequency to modulate the electron beams in a television set that you can see in the background. And so anyone should be able to do this, but we're just not suggesting that because
I actually got shocked when I did this. I really don't recommend to do this, because TVs can, tube TVs can shock you even when they are disconnected from power. So if you really want to do this, just consult someone who who opens TVs for a living, and just explain him or show him this video, and he's gonna think this is a savage move to do with the TV, but he will understand pretty quickly what you mean.
Actually, the TV is not the best device to display this kind of graphics.
Oh yeah.
The idea, you told me that it's originally came from the Vectrex and the original IBM vector displays.
Yes.
Which we have, if I'm not mistaken, here. Hopefully so. We are trying to display an image with our new setup, which we're really proud of, but we are also kind of struggling a little
starting out with this setup that switches the videos and sound back and forth.
Okay, we cannot show right now. I'm just not going to risk the smooth...
not seeing anything. Yeah. So what Adam wanted to say is you can have multiple choices of output devices for this. One of them is a modified television, which is not really the best way to do it, because it has artifacts and it's slow and it cannot take a DC voltage. So if we switch to the TV now, you can see that the TV doesn't get a signal, and you could ask, what happens if you apply a DC voltage, just a static voltage, to this thing? And you could assume that the point goes up or left or right, depending on the axis and the polarity of the voltage that you apply, and the point just stays there, which would be true for an oscilloscope. But this is a TV, and it doesn't like DC voltages, so if you apply a DC voltage, the point bounces back to its original position. So, yeah, what I'm gonna do is, you had this shape that I displayed before. If I just plug it back, you must be able to see it, if you remember this nice swirly thingy that we did with the VCA and the Polygonal. And I'm gonna patch this into Linnaeus, which is a through-zero, linear through-zero filter by Rossum Electro. And we're just gonna use it as a normal low-pass filter right now. And it's stereo, so we're gonna make use of this fact that it's a stereo filter and filter both signals at the same time. Right now I have a pretty high resonance dialed in, and let's see what it does to my image. So right now the image is going through Linnaeus, and if I start emphasizing certain frequencies with the resonant peak, you can see all these beautiful vector transformations happening.
Yeah, and the patch is pretty simple still. Like, we're not hardly using any modules. And by the way, you also mentioned that the best device to display this would be the laser systems. Like,
oh yeah, lasers are amazing. So what laser would do is that it uses its galvometer, or this galvo scanner, which also has two really fine coils inside, just like a speaker, just like a TV. It always ends up in a coil, and as the coils get your signals, they move little mirrors, and the faster they can move this mirror, and the lighter this mirror is, and the less resistance this mirror has, the faster it can go. So if you have a really fast laser, you can display this image probably on a wall with a high intensity laser beam, which is amazing.
And very large.
Yes,
and maybe complex textures.
Yeah, and there are pioneers of this laser projection with synthesizers, and they play amazing shows. If you have the chance to see Bernard Rasinger, BR Laser, or BR Laser, or I hope I pronounce his name right, is Alberto Novello, or he's from XPS. He does this too on Vectrex as well, and they develop their own patches to make amazing graphics and sounds happen at the same time. Because here the sound and the graphic is basically really the same output. So the sound that you hear is this shape.
Is it related?
It is the same thing, displayed on two output devices. One is the TV, and the other one is your computer or my headphones or the speakers. This is the same signal. You see the signal that goes inside the speaker, and this is the puristic approach of this slowly developing subgenre of generating signals, which I find really, really interesting. I'm gonna decrease the frequency. This is probably the primary harmonic.
Okay, it looks like, I mean, back in the old days we did demos for the computers, such as the Commodore 64, which we created functions to draw graphics on the screen. If I had to look on this and figure out how it's made, I would have no clue. I would think that this is such a complex patch. It must be something super complex, but actually I think it might turn out well, even if I just turn the knobs mindlessly, really, without any idea.
Yes, you don't have to be a scientist to have fun with this, because you don't really have to know the math behind it, and you can basically have fun with stereo modules and see what they do to the output of Polygonal, or you can also just make a signal and put it into a phaser and make it a stereo signal. For example, if we have, so this is what happens with the signal being patched through the throw zero filter. I can increase the resonance even more. This is a little sketchy. It has an internal oscillator that can modulate the frequency
On the filter.
Again. So there's a built-in modulation oscillator. I just turned the waveform knob, so I basically switched the oscillator on.
Plus the laser could be color.
Oh yeah.
It could be colored, and you could on the full RGB palette probably.
Yeah, those are RGB lasers, and I'm not really familiar with the emitter of the laser, but you can certainly use an audio rate signal to change the color of the scanning of the point that you are moving, which results in rainbow-like colors if you want. But you can also use a square wave and have a dashed line, or yeah, you can also, what you cannot do here is you can use an audio rate signal to interrupt the laser, so you can make it blink really fast.
Mm-hmm.
And this means you can have lines that are not connected with each other.
Oh.
Yeah, which
because these are closed objects.
Those are always, this is always the closed line, so it's always a closed path. But on a laser, there's a protocol called ILDA, and this has...
Just imagine it's on a side of a building or in a forest on a party. It's just...
Yeah,
It's a small monitor, but I have the imagination to...
Yeah, probably a laser couldn't do the upper harmonics in this, but maybe, I don't know. We should check it out. But anyway, this is what the high resonance filter does to the signal that comes from Polygonal. Okay. And yeah, I want to show you some more stuff to insert in this stereo signal path. By the way, the signal path right now is entirely stereo.
Okay, I'm
gonna just make another quick patch. So if you...
So you're not going to use the Polygonal from now on? For
Yes.
those who
do know our plans, I'm not going to use the Polygonal to make
just simple oscillator.
the next one. So I'm just going to pull this into frame. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is use Three Sisters. This is a triple bandpass filter. And for now, I'm just gonna use it as a sine wave oscillator. So if I turn up the resonance of this filter and come out from the low pass filter output, which is informant mode, this is just one of the bandpass filters. I'm gonna use this sine wave, which is doing this on the screen. So this is just a sine wave, and if I patch this sine wave to both channels, this is something like an oval shaped thing, because yeah, this is what it does to the sine wave. So I unpatch it now, and you can show the modular again. I'm gonna patch this sine wave into I'm gonna patch this sine wave into a phaser, a dual phaser from ModCam, one of my favorite modules for bongo like sounds and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to patch this sine wave into both inputs of, just patch it into the output. So I'm going to patch it into the input, and now I have the same sine wave going into two phasers that basically just change the phase relationship of the two sine waves, which must be identical since it's just multipled. So now I'm going to come out from the output of this phaser and patch it into the VCA, because later we're gonna need this, and to the other VCA as well. Let's take a cable the right length. Yeah, I just found it. So yeah, I have the two sine waves come in here. I can set the phase relationship between them, and from the output of the VCA, I'm just going to go into the mixers so I can set up a volume frame for the thing. And if you go to the TV,
which I wish to have.
Yeah, let's try to see. Yeah, if you go to the TV, you can see that. Can you crop to the phaser? If I change the phase relationship, this is what happens. I can spin this around.
It's phase shifting.
This is phase shifting on one side, and this is phase shifting on both sides. And yeah, it will result in volume differences. So you can see that it doesn't just spin, but it also grows. But this enables me to compensate the artifacts of the TV and draw a circle that is closer to a perfect circle. It's still not a perfect circle, but who wants a perfect circle when you can have fun instead? So yeah. Let's just go with that. And now I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna, like I did with the polygonal circle, I'm gonna take a really fast signal from the trident triangle output, and I'm gonna modulate the volume of both VCAs. One VCA goes up, the other VCA goes down. So this is right now an inverted modulation. But I don't want that now. I want to skip the inverter.
This is the time actually when I have to. I probably do a remark here for our audience that it's so much smoother on a cathode tube television, because again, the television is not used in a regular fashion of refresh rate. It just keeps drawing and drawing, and it's completely smooth. It's so smooth and so sharp you can almost touch it.
Yes, it's a really nice way to display the output of this modular. But the only better option would be a laser.
Yeah, of course.
But if I go here, you can see we have a pretty similar result like we had on the Polygonal. So I made a circle, I put it into VCA, and then it draws flowers. And depending on the frequency of the modulator, it can make what's this? This is this tool. This is a saw blade. You can draw saw blades as well.
We're running at 30 frames per second. But, the real one is just insane. It's
yeah,
sharp
I try to catch the 30 frames per second,
Yeah.
so we can have an uninterrupted line on YouTube as well. So yeah, this is how it draws the circle. But this is a triangle wave modulating the volume of both VCAs. And right now the VCAs are not inverted, so if one VCA volume goes up, the other one goes up as well. Now I can start and modulate it with a saw wave, and this is a square wave, and this is gonna make it sharper. And this is the pulse width modulation of the square wave. I can just cancel it out and make it grow, and make the teeth smaller. So yeah, you see what's happening. I try to go back to a triangle wave and adjust its frequency to a lower frequency, and yeah, you can have this yeah, that's so smooth. It looks like like a jellyfish or something.
Yeah.
Something organic. Alright, so if I have a different phase relationship, I can turn it around even more. And right now I'm just using static values. I'm not even modulating anything. The reason I have the voltage block in the setup is that I was experimenting with making presets with those voltages. You can see the LEDs changing, so I can have 8 values and then just jump between all the presets. So if in one preset I want to have the phase relationship change, so let's put this on 1, and then the other preset, I mean the other parameter that would be changed by the preset is this, and let's compensate the volumes, and then let's go here.
Hello people, if should you have questions
Yeah,
or suggestions, please do, and let us know what
Put
you
them in
think
the comment.
or what you want us to do and explain or change the patch.
Yeah, this is gonna be the frequency of yeah, let's not play around with the frequency too much, because this is gonna result in unforeseeable damage. Let's go back to there and correct the phase relationship to a more circle-like structure. And if I change this frequency, this should slow down the spin. Yeah, this is what it does. And yeah, I could modulate this value. No, let's leave this value alone as well.
Can you work fast with it in a live situation, such as if you wanted to do some environment painting on a party, for example?
If I would do a live show with this, which I have never done, I would probably use the preset. So this is what I'm going towards now, so I can play around with the phase relationship between those. So let's see that maybe this bracelet is 1, and then
It looks very different.
I go to another, and I can make the bracelet turn around-ish, or I can flat it out. So this is one preset, this is the other, and now they are exactly the same. But switch between two states, and I would probably use this in a live situation, but I don't know. I have to practice a lot more before, and I have to get the laser, because this is the way of playing this live, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But anyway, this is what the phaser does. It can spin stuff around like this. So if I go to the phase CV input of this and put in a signal, it starts spinning. Let's see. What if I spin it faster? It's gonna be pretty hectic. Okay, so if I take this one out, we are back to a circle. I'm not gonna modulate the VCA volumes for now. Just gonna correct the phase of this and make it more like a circle again. Like a circle is somehow an instinctive starting point for me, and probably also for others who deal with this vector kind of stuff. And let's see what a wave shaper would do. So now, after the phase is corrected, I'm gonna take one side out. This is gonna be the y-axis, and I'm gonna patch it into the Casper-Bastel waver, and I'm gonna use it as a wave folder.
It's your favorite wave folder right now, right?
Right now, it's my favorite wave folder.
You mentioned it to me like a million times.
Yeah, I love the sound of this module. It's just amazing,
and it draws well as well.
Yeah. Well, let's see what it does. I'm not that familiar with how it works on a vector, but let's correct the phase again. Okay, so I'm just gonna have a smaller circle, and now I'm gonna use the wave folder and this wave square function kind of thing. Let's correct the size so we have it in frame, and as I change the phase, it starts to draw different outlines like this. And I could take a VCA again and start modulating the volume with a higher frequency signal. Let's use this one for now. Oh no, actually this one was fine. I'll try to find the frequency that is related. Yeah, maybe this one. And I'm fine-tuning the frequency now. Maybe I fine-tune this frequency of the Three Sisters a little bit so it's more relatable. Yeah. So right now, this looks similar to this, but what I do is I make it larger and smaller at a very fast rate, and this is why it becomes like a wormhole kind of thing that pulls you in. And if I fine-tune the frequency of this, it should stabilize or destabilize. Yeah, I can make this a saw wave, which looks amazing on the screen. I try to sync this more to make it more YouTube friendly. Alright, this could work. Yeah, so this is similar to what we see on the screen. So this is interfering slower with the camera, so you can have an idea of what it looks like if you would play this on a laser. Or it looks like lips a little bit to me, something like a crooked lip. Yeah. So yeah, if you have any questions, people watching, or
we have eight-person audience.
Yeah.
You say that?
Yeah.
8 people is watching us.
That's cool. How about taking this signal and going through the Trident filter again? I have the feeling it could yield some nice graphics if I've done that. Yeah.
What's this? Again, this filter again.
Yeah, the filter
with
with a high resonance, and let's see what it does to a more complex shape, because now I actually have upper harmonics that I can filter out. So what it does now is pretty much nothing, because the cutoff frequency is 0. I'm just gonna come up with, and you can see that it does something very similar to the sound. Like to the image. So right now the lines are smoother and the sound is also smoother, and if I go up, I'm gonna start to hear and see the edges. And if I turn up the resonance, maybe a little bit less, it will overshoot, and you're gonna have some curves that are twisting into one another.
Oh,
So this is with even more overshoot. Yeah, but if I go up with the resonance that much, it will get out of frame too much.
okay.
Yeah, now I try to add some modulation to the thing with the internal modulation oscillator. Right now the frequency of the oscillator that I just introduced is not related. I'm try to find a frequency and fine tune that works with this graphic. This is way too low. I think I'm finding it.
So you could use it as a tuner as well.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
It's more precise than the tuners I've seen.
Yeah, so this is a frequency that is more or less related, and you can change the waveform. And this is done in a way on the linear through zero filter. It's done in a way that where you can change the waveforms and before if you go to sine wave and then you go to edgier waves, you can just blend it out. So with one value you can change the waveforms and blend out the modulation as well, which is pretty useful for music and vectors as well. Yeah, and if I change the frequency of the oscillator, that makes it zoom in and zoom out. I can stop at really.
Nice song.
I can stop at points that are resulting in other shapes. Let's check out a square wave and play with the pulse width.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's super smooth on YouTube and on the TV as well, because yeah, you just have to relate to 30 Hertz as well. Yeah, I could do this all night long.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, this is a square wave unfiltered, and yeah, with modulation of filter, which is right now irrelevant because the cutoff frequencies are the maximum. Yeah, this is what a filter sweep looks like.
Mm-hmm. And you could go on like crazy, like adding reverb, all sorts of other type of modules. By the way, the wave shaper is still connected. It's not playing much in here.
Oh yeah, it does.
I mean,
this is what distracts
you haven't
it
been
from...
touching it for time. You
yeah,
into the filter.
The wave shaper did this kind of landscapey thing to the circle, which I can correct to be more like a circle. But yeah, let's go with that. I like it. So I can correct the phase.
Mm-hmm.
And we are getting closer to a circle now. Try to adjust the frequency of the primary oscillator to match 30 Hertz a little bit better. Yeah.
Oh, Bernard is on board. See?
Run a simple triangle wave into the reverb. Yeah. So that's what Adam mentioned, the reverb. So if I just take a triangle wave from so I disconnect the outputs here, and hi Bernard. And if we do dispatch, just take a triangle wave and hit the input. So this is useful in many ways because this is going to make a stereo signal out of a mono signal. I hit the reverb with one signal and come out with two, and play around with the parameters a little bit. And yeah, this is one triangle signal. Let's set the frequency. There, let's tilt it a little lower. Now I'm all the way to the wet side now. I'm trying to tilt it a little lower. Yeah, the reverbs are amazing. But the way Bernard does it there, they can make lower sounds as well. This is the triangle wave through reverb. And I make it wet and I give it a decay. And I can set the speed of the reverb modulation a lot slower. Actually a lot faster too. Yeah. Compensate. You can compensate too down with the volumes because it's pretty low. Yeah. Try to sync this.
Banner does some comments, reduce the speed to minimum and lower drone.
The speed to minimum. And the drone is the drone is synced. So that's what I was leaving sync on, and that's why it's synced to the primary insulator.
Yeah. 25% of our audience are expert. Sounds totally rad. Oh my god.
I love how it gets chorusy when you play with the size real time. This is our input signal. This is crazy. Maybe you don't even need an input signal for reverb. You can just make reverb draw on its own. Like bold metal sounds. This is just a reverb feedbacking. Yeah, this is without the input signal.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to show us some other models, perhaps? Or...
Well, I don't know. We are 1 hour into streaming now.
Yeah.
So I think we're gonna wrap this up with this amazing reverb sound that the module does on its own. And yeah. We're gonna say goodbye to all you. Thank you for watching. This means a lot to us. This is our first, my first live event.
Yeah.
Kind of. And yeah, thank you for watching. And
I'm just trying to catch us. There's still something screwed up
If you
with
have
the.
any questions, just let us know how to fix this broadcasting system. And if you have questions about the patch, or if you want to know more about any modules, you can contact us at Soundria web store or via email through there. So we are happy to catch up with you guys and communicate.
And we are going to say goodbye as soon as we figure out how to remove these things, just to save in the end. I still have to work a bit on the. Oh no!
It doesn't work that way.
You can just make it even worse.
Okay.
Okay, we'll figure it out for next time.
Right.
It still needs to be
Cool.
tweaked a little for
Alright.
next time. But we are going to gain a lot of experience and make the show even more interesting for the next one.
Next one, we're gonna make maybe more sounds or more rhythms or melodies, and
We have other subjects, more interesting subjects to talk about in the next episode. So we're going to do it next Tuesday, 8 o'clock in the
next
evening,
Tuesday,
same
8
time.
o'clock next week.
Okay, so thank you for being with us, and see you next time.
See you next time. Bye.
Most már ott vagyunk, vége van. Na végét